How's it going, everybody? It's your old pal Will from Ghost Hack, back at it again with another tutorial, and today I'm going to be talking about Vital, the synth. I've made a couple videos about Vital before, but I'm going to be doing something a little different. I'm going to be showing you how, instead of making basses, like I've made in the past with Vital, I'm actually going to make unique atmospheric pads. And keep in mind that the tips I'm going to give you today are not just exclusive to Vital. These tips also work in synths such as Serum, Phaseplant, or honestly any other kind of synthesizer, as long as you're willing to get creative with stacking the layers on it. The good thing about Vital and Serum and Phaseplant is that they have a bunch of oscillators inside them. If you have a synth similar to this, then most of these techniques will also work. But I really want to touch on Vital because I think it's a great synth and it's getting a lot of attention, and it's also free, so I'm not really excluding anyone. So here are my top techniques for atmospheric and unique pads inside of Vital. Let's go. Alright, so fundamentally, if you want to create just a super easy pad right off the bat, it's really not too hard, and a lot of people will tell you this. You just take any sound, add some attack, add some release, throw some unison on it, maybe a low pass filter or so, and then just drown this guy in delay and reverb. Cool pad, but very, very basic. There's nothing unique about it. There's nothing special about it. There's nothing really artistic about this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you just some techniques for making unique pads that are a little more creative and a little more interesting. You can have a lot more fun with them. And this starts in Vital like this. You have 4 different oscillators here, 3 just normal oscillators, and then a sample oscillator, or it's pretty much just a noise oscillator until you throw something else in there. And I'm going to separate these out. The first oscillator is going to be the low layer to this pad. The second oscillator is going to be the like a high layer to this pad, and the third oscillator is going to be kind of a mid-tonal layer to the pad. It's all of these are going to be tonal, but this one is really going to drive in the main pitch and the tone of the pad with something simple. And then the sample oscillator is going to be the noise layer of the pad that adds some more texture to it. So this is where I start. Oscillator 1, you could just pick your favorite wavetable for something like this. I could do anything. I could say crappy toilet. That sounds like a good one. Never mind, this doesn't really sound like a good one. Let's just find something that would work good for a deep, smooth pad. I know this is meant to be a bass, but I'm kind of feeling it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add LFO 1 here to this wavetable position. And I'm going to set this to 1 bar. Next thing I'm going to do is add some unison. Great, after that we can add some attack. There we are, kind of like we did for the first thing that I went over, just the really simple pad. But now we're going to change it up a little bit. We're going to add the filter here, and we're going to bring this down. There we are, it's a nice deep layer. And now we're going to flip to oscillator 2, where we are going to make the high layer. And for this, I suggest finding something that has some interesting high-end texture. At this point, I think I actually will go back to the crappy toilet, because you can hear it's very harsh and digital, but it has some very nice high-end textures. Especially if we were to bring it up an octave. Yeah, that has some cool harmonic high frequency content. I can use that. We'll go into LFO 2. We'll do the same thing with the wavetable position. Except we'll change this to, let's change it to seconds here, and let's just pick something kind of random. So it's not morphing at exactly the same speed as the other one. And then we're going to do the same thing, add unison. And then we'll throw this into filter 2 here. We'll change this to a high pass. So we're really getting those high frequencies now. It's a little piercing, but that's part of the plan. When we layer this together, it's going to be a little more easy to listen to. Then after that, we're going to pick this oscillator, oscillator 3. And what I really like to pick for this oscillator is I like to pick just the basic shapes. And I like to go into the triangle wave. Let's see, let's find this. Yeah, here it is. Let's throw this up an octave. Add some unison, just like the other ones. And now we're not going to run this one through the filter. This is going to be the very tonal layer backing up these layers. And now the next thing we'll add is this white noise. And what I really like to add here, you can import your own sample if you want, but for this one, I'm going to choose the box fan. I really enjoy the box fan for pads. It has a nice sort of crunchy tone, but it's still smooth. So I'm going to turn on keyboard tracking. And I'm going to pitch this into place to match, say, this oscillator 3 here. There we go. Now it's pitched into place, and I'm going to route it through oscillator or filter 2, which is the high pass filter. And that's going to be our layer. And now with all these layers together, you can balance out the levels however you want them. So awesome, we have a cool tone for a pad going right now, but it needs to be more atmospheric. It's not smooth enough. It's still very harsh. It's not really a pad. So we're going to go into the effects and we're going to do things to make this sound a little smoother and more atmospheric. First thing being a chorus. That's a pretty simple one. Choruses are pretty straightforward. There's nothing really specific you need to do for this. The next thing I would do, however, is add some phasers and flangers. And you can just mix them in a little bit. And then a flanger on top of this. Take down the feedback. And just be mixing it in like that. And then after that, just drown it in delay and reverb, kind of similar to how we did with the first sound. Let's set this to ping pong right here. And then change one of these to 1/4. Nice, we have some nice long delay here. And then reverb, we can take off this filter. I don't really like to add the filter to the pads. So let's bring up the mix. Bring up the time, bring up the size. Ooh. That's a nice pad. I like that pad. That's a unique pad. That isn't just a really simple detuned synth pad. Like that has some unique tones to it. And then after that, it's all about kind of mixing the pad into your track. I like to use the EQ right here to control the low end and the high end. For example, if you don't want a deep pad, if you want a high pad, you can do some of that, or maybe you want the deep pad and you don't want it to be so high frequency. And you can just do that. It's as easy as an EQ. And obviously, if you're not happy with the low end or the high frequencies or any of the other sounds, you can go in and change them manually. Just going back to these oscillators, you want to take out the high end. That's a lot smoother right there, and maybe that's more useful to you. Maybe it's just a little too tonal. And you want to go back to that. Maybe it's too noisy. It's very easy to go back, especially with synths such as Vital, and just customize it after you've made the thing. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention, setting macros to the detune of the unison on each oscillator is a really, really helpful thing if you want to just give yourself a helping hand later. You can do that to all three of these oscillators, and then you have a macro controlling how detuned the pad is. And obviously, feel free to add macros to literally anything else in the preset. Macros are extremely helpful, especially if you plan on opening the sound back up later in other projects to utilize them. It's super helpful. So there you go. There's how I would go about making some really useful and really awesome atmospheric pads in a synth such as Vital. Like I said, of course, these techniques can be applied to other synthesizers as well. I just really enjoy synths like Vital, Serum, and Phaseplant for these because they have a bunch of stuff already built in. They have all the oscillators there. They have all the effects there. I didn't even have to use, like, say, the effects in the FL Studio mixer. Also, like I said, I do enjoy using Vital for tutorials like this because Vital is free and I'm not really leaving anyone out if they don't want to spend money on something expensive. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like if you did. Hit subscribe for more future tutorials, and I will see you in the next video. Happy producing.